But if I put everything only in the last 10 years, I wouldn't have anything to put.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Effective Resume Thursdays. It's April 22nd, 2021. We're with you every Thursday afternoon at 1 o'clock. Grab your lunch and join us every Thursday. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, and if you post a comment in the chat box or have your microphone or camera on, you give consent for your name, comments, and picture to appear. For those people on Zoom, we ask that you use the speaker view, which is in the lower left-hand corner if you're on a PC or Mac, and you're going to want to have your participant or your chat box open because we'll be using that throughout the presentation. So we'll be asking questions and wanting you to enter some answers as we get going here. If you're on Zoom, as soon as you come up with a question, please just enter it in the chat box. And for those people on Facebook right now, please just enter your questions in the comment field. I'm monitoring that feed and I'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. We are going to be reviewing 1 or 2 resumes today live online. If you'd like to submit your resume, you can use the chat box down there where you see the blue arrow where it says the file button. You can click on that. You can attach your resume. You can just send it to Carol. Just select Carol and send it to her directly. If you want to delete your header information, because this is going to be on YouTube and Facebook, you're welcome to just delete your header information so that information won't be public. Well, good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I founded Career DFW to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area by creating a website to put everything a job seeker needed in one place. In 2012, I started CareerUSA.org to help those people outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I've written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search That You May Not Know. It is available on Amazon. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. The group's been around since the late 1990s. I took it over in 2007. And since 2007, I've been a member of the PIC crew, which is called the Practice Interview Team. And I do that along with Carol, our speaker today. At the end of this session, we're going to be giving away a 1 month of unlimited use of jobscan.co. We'll pick 2 winners at the very end of this session, so please hang with us to the very end. Those people will have unlimited usage of JobScan for the month of May. All right, well, our speaker today is Carol Brickell. She's a certified professional career coach. She just got done with spending 3 days listening to a bunch of other certified professional career coaches talking about professional career coaching. So Carol, thank you for being with us, and it's all yours.
Thank you so much, Jeff. Yes, my head is spinning. I just attended a virtual conference and I'll be sharing some information with you all today. So I'm going to share my screen, get into presentation mode here. I click on the little thing that looks like a champagne glass to me to get it to go into presentation mode. And I'd like to welcome everyone. And we've received 1 resume so far. We'll definitely have time to review that. We may have time to review a second resume towards the end of this session. And that's everybody's favorite part, to get to look at a live, a real live resume, real time. So you're welcome to send that to me in chat if you've got a resume you'd like to be reviewed during the session. And if you wish to remain anonymous, you can take off your contact information off the top. When you see me looking over here, I'm just looking at my second monitor where I have the participant box open up and the chat box open up. And we have designed this to be really fun and interactive. And I encourage you to, if you've got your phone with you, set aside your phone for a moment or for an hour and just really listen and absorb the content here, because we do have some new content. And now, if you get a call from a hiring manager with a job offer, I give you permission, take that call. But if you can, set aside your phone and just focus and have fun. We've designed this to be really interactive. And thank you to those who are networking already in the chat box. Feel free to share the type of job you're looking for in any target companies. And as you're watching that chat box, if you see somebody that's trying to get in with a target company, you know people there, reach out to that person offline or privately. So yeah, feel free to do that. And we will be using the interactive features of Zoom. So please open up your participant box and the chat box. And I do have a chat question I'd like to ask everyone. It's important that when you submit your resume that it's free from errors. And I will say, as a recruiter, 90% recruiter, and even now as a career coach, 90% of the resumes I see have some sort of error in them. It might be just as simple as a spacing issue, but you need to ensure you have no errors in your resume. So type in a few keywords about what you do to make sure you don't have any errors in your resume: spelling, grammar, spacing, alignment, accuracy. So type a few words in, because that is something that was actually mentioned quite a bit during the, as somebody said, they have to go look at it. Yeah, I do that a lot with people. I get that a lot. Yes. And I find it's difficult for me to proof my own work. So what I do, if I have a critical document, I'll print it out, set it aside, do something else for 10 minutes, and then I'll come back and look at it fresh. Some people read it backwards to try to find typing errors or misused words like manger instead of manager. Okay. So by way of background, I'll explain my background, because as you hear about resumes, in fact, if you were to share your resume with 5 different people, you'd probably get 10 different opinions back in return. And so I'm just going to be sharing ideas. And it's up to you to use whatever works well for you. And if it doesn't work well for you, you don't have to use it. And I encourage to have people, if you have some additional ideas, share them in chat. And we can all learn from each other. And I know we have a few good experts here in the audience, and probably a lot of good experts. So if you have any ideas along the way or insights, please share those in chat. We can learn from each other. And somebody said their technique for proofing their document is to read it out loud. That's a great idea. Thank you for that. So I'll be sharing ideas just from my perspective and my background. My background was that I worked for over 30 years in an IT firm, doing a variety of jobs, starting off as a systems engineer all the way up to sales, learning and development, HR management. And all along the way, I was always a hiring manager. So I was always conducting interviews and then training other managers on how to conduct interviews. And then I took early retirement in 2012 because I felt the calling to get a job as a recruiter so I could learn how the industry really works, because I had this vision of becoming a career coach, and it worked out really well. I got 6 years of experience working in both agency and corporate environments. And that has helped me as a career coach, because I know what it's like to look at hundreds and hundreds of resumes. And I've placed people in a variety of different roles: accounting, HR, finance, project management, administrative, sales. And like Jeff, Walt Glass is on the line here as well. I'm a volunteer for the Dallas Pit Crew. That's the practice interview team. We've put information in the chat box about the Pit Crew. If you want to sign up to do an interview, if you're getting ready to interview, I highly recommend that you practice. And what you do is send your resume and the target job description or any sample job description to set up a time to practice with us. And we'll put together a panel of 3 interviewers and run you through a mock interview and give you some coaching. Good. And then also Walt Glass has shared information about his success coach interview success workshop that he does. And I've heard lots of great feedback about that. It's a really kind and gentle place to really learn. So I highly recommend that as well. And then also I've been certified by the Professional Association of Resume Writers and Career Coaches. And that's the conference I just attended the past few days that Jeff mentioned. And I'll be sharing some information about that. And I do keep in touch with my recruiting friends, especially where I most recently worked at Next Step Recruiting. And this is a sample of the type of jobs that they've been recruiting for. And if you don't have a great recruiter working for you as an additional option in your job search strategy, I highly recommend you do that. They can be a great resource to give you feedback on your resume, feedback about the marketplace, and they can advocate for you and get you in front of a hiring manager. So if you are in the area of accounting, finance, HR, administrative, project management, even sales and marketing, and also in the healthcare field. Feel free to reach out to me and I can get you connected with a great recruiter at Expect Recruiting.
Carol, have you gotten a second resume yet?
No, I don't.
Okay, we have somebody on Facebook and they're asking how they can send a resume in. If you'd like to send your resume, you can do it via, send it to resume@careerdfw.org. Resume@careerdfw.org.
Great, and then you can post it in the chat. Great. Thank you for that. We might have time to get to the second one. Sometimes we get to talking, but we'll try. Very good. And so this is our agenda today. It's a two-part agenda. In the first part, I'll talk about some new resume guidance from the conference I just attended with the Professional Association of Resume Writers. We'll talk about the concept of one-page bios, master resumes, and I'll quickly review the key components of a resume and how it can be formatted. And we'll share a template also in the chat box. And then we'll review the sample resumes at the end. I'm looking at the participant box. We have even more people. Welcome to those who have joined. And I like to review information about applicant tracking systems. Last week, Andy Cook did an excellent session behind the scenes of these applicant tracking systems. And if you missed that last week, I recommend watching the recording that Jeff has posted on the Career USA YouTube channel. And she goes into a lot of detail. And I heard a lot more details when I went to the conference this week. In fact, my head is spinning because of all the different applicant tracking systems, and they all work differently and they're all coded differently. So basically my advice is just be simple and be careful, and I'll walk through that a little bit. Basically, these applicant tracking systems, when you upload your resume and apply online, these are the systems like Taleo, Workday, iSIMS, that are reading the data. They're parsing the data in your resume and putting it in the database. And you don't want to use a lot of special characters or special formatting with your resume because it can mess up the parsing process. And some of the systems won't read the header or footer information. So don't put your name and contact information in the header because it may not get read. But you do want to be sure that some of the keywords in your resume align to the keywords and skills in the job description. And Jeff mentioned at the end of the session today, he's going to be giving away a couple of licenses for jobscan.co, which is a tool that you can use to compare your resume to a job description. And then also often these systems give you an option to upload a resume as an attachment. That's the version that the recruiter will be looking at. So you may want that one to be in a PDF format to protect the formatting, the visual look of it. And if they ask for a cover letter, it's a good idea to go ahead and answer the mail and submit a cover letter. I just don't recommend spending a lot of time on it. We'll provide a sample here, and in my handouts from the conference, I have some additional samples as well. And then also I've received guidance from a consultant who works for Workday. Workday is a big ERP, enterprise resource planning system that has an applicant tracking component to it. And this consultant who I used to work with and now works at Workday, he says, when you're uploading your resume, applying online, review the information if you can. Workday gives you the option of doing that. Not all systems do, just to make sure that your resume got uploaded cleanly. And the text in the header or footer won't get read, so don't use that in your Microsoft Word document. And he says from a Workday perspective, to put in your URLs or emails as text, not a hot link. You might hear different things about that, but from a Workday perspective, he recommends against that. And also, when some companies implement Workday, they also implement third-party questionnaires or assessments, and that can be used to determine the level of match and your ranking and how you're viewed. And then also recruiters can sort and search through the candidates based on criteria that they're looking for. So there are a lot of different ways that these systems are used. So basically, if your head's swimming like mine is when I think about all the various applicant tracking systems and the way they work, just keep the big picture in mind. You know, upload a resume that doesn't have a lot of special formatting. And if you have the opportunity, review the data to make sure it got uploaded correctly. And then the most important thing is don't just rely on the system, contact a person. That will increase your chances. And I've asked this before and I'll ask it again. When you apply online for a job and sit back and wait, what do you think your chance is of getting called for an interview? Go into chat and type in a number. What's your percentage chance of getting called for an interview if you just apply online and sit back and wait? Wait for that phone call. What's your percentage chance? And y'all are close, the people that have guessed. I've read statistically, it's 2%. Somebody got it on the button, 2%. And based on my experience as a recruiter, that's accurate because often each job posting would have like 300 candidates. I might look at 10 or 20 resumes. I might call 5 or 6 people. So it's a very small number. So I highly recommend that you reach out to a person at that company to let them know that you meet the requirements. And those are the golden words. That's like the password. I applied for your position and I meet the requirements. Specifically, mention a couple things. So when you say what, you probably ask, what person do I reach out to? If you know somebody at the company, reach out to them and let them know and see if they can forward your resume also to the recruiting manager if you don't know who the recruiter is. Reach out to the recruiter who posted the job if you can see their name. Or if not, go a level up and search on LinkedIn for a recruiting or talent acquisition leader. Send them a note on LinkedIn. Let them know you applied for that job, that requisition number, and that you meet the requirements. And they can get you in touch with the right recruiter. And that will increase your chances upwards to 50%. So don't depend on the machine. Any questions about that? If anybody has any questions or additional guidance, let me know. And now I'll share a few things that I learned at the conference over the last few days. There's a gentleman named Tom Powner who talked a lot about cover letters. And you've heard me say, as a recruiter, I never had time to read them. And a lot of my recruiting friends don't. But he did a survey to over 200 people. I think they're mostly hiring managers. And 62% of them said they do read cover letters. So it's a good idea. If the system asks for it, your application does look more complete if you go ahead and do that cover letter. And good, and I see that we have another resume or 2 potentially.
It's the same one. I meant to send it just to you, but.
Great, okay, that's fine. Okay, got it, I got it, good. So if the system asks for a cover letter, it's good to go ahead and send a cover letter. And we're providing a simple template, which is a T-style template where you say, here are your key requirements. And here's a brief sentence about how I meet the requirements. Tom, actually one of his formats is that format as well. You should do that. And then also something I learned in the conference, when you do submit a cover letter, one key sentence to include in there is why you're interested in that company. That can set you apart. Tom mentioned that and somebody else did as well. Okay. And then another person, a career coach, provided guidance on how to make your ATS friendly resume pop. And we will include a zip file document in the chat that has handouts from these sessions. The one about how to make your resume pop, I'd be a little careful with it because she has some formatting in there that's pictures and special characters, and I wonder if all of those would work. And I've got a dialogue going with her behind the scenes a little bit, but there are a few good points in there, but I would just say be careful of doing too much to your resume. And also, you've heard from other recruiters and myself that we just prefer black and white text, no bells and whistles. We just want the data. So just be a little careful with that. I'm just sharing the information I've gathered. Somebody asked if I'm still on the first page of my presentation. Jeff, are you seeing this guidance okay? Are you seeing the presentation okay? I can't hear you.
Yes, everything looks okay to me. Some people are saying I had to reload Zoom a couple times, but
Okay. Yeah,
everything
people
looks
may
okay
have
to
to.
me.
All right, good. Thank you. And thank you for everybody in the audience. Good. And then one of the guest speakers at the conference was a real live recruiter out in California, and she provided just some excellent practical information. And she recommends, rather than applying to a whole bunch of companies and just sending out your resume everywhere, really target companies and customize your resume to the jobs that you're applying for, and keep your resume short, easy to read. That echoes everything we say. And cover letters should be short and include why you're interested in that company. So we've updated our template for cover letters based on that guidance. And then there was another really wonderful guest speaker, Heidi Guisto, and she's a sort of an editor, and provided really good information. And there's a handout included in my zip file with some guidance regarding editing. And so that's a very good document to look at for ensuring the quality of your resume. She talks about the inconsistent use of the Oxford comma, which is the comma that precedes the and. She recommends using it. I do too, because otherwise it can change the meaning of the sentence. And then also she talks about the parallel structure of your verbs. Make sure they're all in the past tense. And we talk about that. And she talks about commonly misused words, misspelled words, led versus lead, misuse of which versus that. She describes that more in the handout. Good. So thank you, Jeff, for sharing those handouts. Appreciate that. Somebody doesn't like the Oxford comma. People have different perspectives about that. Now, there are some funny memes about when people haven't used them. I'm going to try to find one of those because it can change the meaning. If anybody knows a funny meme about the Oxford comma, share it in chat. Okay. And then Heidi also said less is more when writing a resume. So you want to use less text. And now we'll talk about the concept of a one-page bio. All right, I'm just looking at the comments about the Oxford comma. Thank you for sharing those comments. And during the conference, there was one speaker that provided an example of a one-page bio, and I'll show that as well. So the difference between a resume and a bio. If you have a one-page bio and if you've used it anywhere, go ahead and type information in chat. If you have a bio, and where have you used that in your job search or networking? When have you used that kind of document? A resume really signals you're looking for a job. So if you're calling somebody to network with them and you send them your resume, it might make them nervous if they don't have a job for you. So that's why sending a one-page bio, which is just information about your career and highlights, is sort of a kinder, gentler way of just sharing information about yourself. And a resume focuses on work history and details and credentials, and it is a job search and job application tool. That's why we recommend not having a picture of yourself on your resume, because then it's subject to all sorts of employment law issues. So you don't want to put a picture on your resume, but on your bio, that's more of a social networking document, like LinkedIn is social networking, Facebook, you have your pictures on those, and that's fine. And a bio can be used in a variety of situations. It focuses on major accomplishments, can be used in a variety of situations. Like you can load your bio up on LinkedIn as an attachment, but your resumes, you want to customize them for every job and not load them up on LinkedIn. If anybody else has used it for networking or other places, please let me know. And here is a sample one-page bio. I had looked online for a format and I couldn't find any that I liked that were easy to update. And then one of my clients had this version that's Microsoft Word, very simple to update or change and modify, and we've loaded it into chat. And it covers basic information, key skills, brief paragraph about background, your professional biography, just the company names and dates, education, certifications, contact information, And then key accomplishments. And if you can make any of these quantifiable, that's great. And my last company asked me to provide a bio. Yes. And sometimes when you work at a company, you need to provide a bio because sometimes it's used in like government proposals and such. So yes. So this is one example, and we're sharing this with you in case this is useful for you. I'm finding a lot of my clients that I'm coaching are using these more and more. And then one of the speakers during the Thrive conference for the Professional Association of Resume Writers has a website. And this is her name and her website, writingguru.net. And her website includes some resume samples. Now her resume samples have a lot of formatting in them. I don't know if they're ATS friendly. And then this is the sample exec bio that she offers. And it has a picture, it has a lot of text on it, and then key roles and education. So that's another sort of layout. I'm just sharing that with you in case that's of interest. And then somebody said they had to reload Zoom and they need all the attachments. That's the sad thing about Zoom. If you join late, you miss any attachments prior to you. So Jeff,
so the best way, instead of me reposting them, the best way, if you'd like to get them, just send an email to resume@careerdfw.org and tell me you need all the attachments, and I will send them all to you via email.
Thank you so much for doing that, Jeff. I appreciate that. Good. And Jeff, would you like to share your words of wisdom regarding the concept of a master resume?
Well, yeah, I believe everybody should have a master resume because it can make your job search go much easier because you don't have to think about what are the kinds of things I've done over the years. So if you prepare a master resume, you can put 10, 15, 20 bullet points underneath each job. You list all the dates of the job, who your supervisor was, the address of the company, put all the details that you can. And if that document becomes 15, 20, 10 or 15 pages, not a big deal. But the important thing is when you see a job description, you take that master resume and you eliminate, save as, and then you eliminate everything that's not on the job description. Because when a recruiter puts something, job description out, they're looking for somebody who can match A, B, C, D, E. And if you tell them, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, they may not see A, B, C, D, and E because it's mixed in through all these other things. You only want to tell them what they're asking about. I'm sure you've done a lot of great things over the years, but you want to make it easy for the recruiter to go, yes, this is a perfect match. Let me call this person.
Great, good. And Jeff, if you could type in that email address again into chat, I think it was resumes at whatever it was, let people know so they can send you an email if they want the attachments. So thank you for that. Resume@careerdfw.org. Great, thank you. Good. And now I'll briefly review some of the key characteristics and components of a resume, and then we'll look at those sample resumes. Your goal is to make it easy for the ATS system and the screeners to, like Jeff said, determine that you're a great match for a job, because recruiters only spend a few seconds, they say 7.4 seconds scanning a resume. They really don't read paragraphs. And so you want it to pop and jump out so that a recruiter goes, yes, that's the person I'm looking for. They have the skills that I need. So you want to make sure the formatting is clean, consistent, lots of white space, less is more. Overall length, 2 pages, maybe 3 for highly technical resumes. And government resumes may require a little bit longer, but the sweet spot tends to be about 2 pages. And regarding number of years, we like to ask a little polling question here because this could be a preference depending on your situation. And so I'll talk through 3 different options. And so go ahead and answer this question. How much experience do you show on your resume? Do you show all of your experience? Only the recent 10 to 15 years? Or details about the most recent 10 to 15, and then another heading that says prior relevant experience, where you can list some company names and job titles underneath, and maybe leave off the dates for those. And Option A, many of you may have heard, that's the option I used when I was applying for a job at the age of 59, but I was networking with people that knew my background, so I just put it all out there. I don't know if that would work for everyone. And somebody says they use option B. I will tell you, as a recruiter presenting resumes to hiring managers, option B caused some confusion sometimes, because sometimes it looked like something was missing. It looked like things were chopped off. And sure enough, during interviews, if we asked a question like, tell me about a time you had to deal with a challenging client, and if they mentioned a company that wasn't on the resume, it would cause us to look and get distracted, and it would cause confusion. So I found that hiring managers preferred option C, where you might have more details about the recent 10 or 15 years, but then go ahead and list prior relevant experience, especially if you might be mentioning some of those company names and if those job titles are relevant for what you're looking for or show a relevant background to what you're looking for. So thank you for that. Now we will quickly walk through key components of a resume. And these are some of the key components. You might have additional components such as publications or certifications. And your heading, you want to make sure it's really clean with your name front and center. And these 4 types of contact information, your phone number, just your city, state, maybe zip code if you wish. There's lots of discussion, pros and cons on whether to include a zip code or not. Some recruiters do search on zip code. Email, make sure your email looks professional, almost like a business email, like Brickell.Carol, rather than Carol likes kitty cats. You want to make sure it looks professional. And I'm looking to see if my cat's asleep. He's not going to join us today. She's not going to join us. And then your LinkedIn URL. Recruiters like to see that. And do not include your physical street address. And then this is my favorite part of a resume as a recruiter. I like to see this summary section. It's not an objective like I'm searching for a job that'll allow me the opportunity to grow. It's a statement about who you are as a professional, leveraging some of the language in the job description. Now you don't want to do a cut and paste of all the information in a job description, but just leveraging some of the language and what they're really looking for in that job. And then your areas of expertise should be the key skills that hiring managers are looking for. And this is the section you should modify for each application. And if you add a skill to the top of your resume, be sure you have bullets down below in your professional experience that provides evidence that you have that skill. So this is something you do want to modify for every application. And then for jobs that especially require a track record of achieving targets like sales, business development, or even like recruiting jobs, it's nice to have a key accomplishments section at the top of your resume as well to show that those accomplishments over time. In your professional experience section, you want this to be really clean and well formatted, easy to read. And you want to make sure your verbs are parallel. Several of the speakers at the conference I attended mentioned that today. If your job's in the past tense, please be sure that your bullet points start with a strong verb focusing on the results. And you want to be sure that, I'm going to try to, let's see, I was going to try to make that so it doesn't show the name of when you annotate, but it takes a couple steps for me to do that. Anyway, be sure that your verbs are parallel. And we've had several people recommend, some recruiters and people that run recruiting companies say that it's nice to put a 1-sentence description or 1-line description of the company, especially to describe the industry that the company's in. That helps the recruiter understand the industries you've worked in, especially if the companies aren't very well known. And you want to limit the number of bullet points per job, and you should focus on results, and they really shouldn't sound like a job description. Okay. And one way to ensure that your bullet points sound more like a result rather than just a task that you're doing is ask yourself, so what? Because in one situation I had was reviewing a resume where a guy said he automated the conversion of data. I said, well, that's kind of cool, but so what? And then he modified this third bullet here and added the result that he accomplished. He reduced data migration time and eliminated errors, increased stakeholder confidence by automating that conversion of data. So you can go through your resume and say, so what? What was the result? What was the outcome? And that might give you an idea of a stronger verb you can use in your bullet point to really focus on that result. And if you've had multiple roles at one company, we highly recommend you put your dates in this format, because many times I will see people put the dates for their job titles right justified. And remember, recruiters are just scanning your resume. And at first glance, it looks like you're a job hopper. But if you format it this way, with the full dates for when you're at the company, and then the dates just in parentheses next to your job titles, that shows a better story and shows a progression within that company. And be sure to put your education, software skills, especially if they're asking for even Microsoft Excel. If they ask for it, put it on your resume, you'll get points for it. And if you don't have a degree, you can still put the school, city and state, and maybe your major or area of concentration. And if you wish, the number of course hours, but don't say bachelor if you didn't get a bachelor's degree. And on the left in this graphic, we have a job description. And we highly recommend every time you apply for a job, take a moment, take a few moments and really study the job description and highlight, whether it's online or a printout, highlight the keywords and skills that they are looking for and make sure you're highlighting those in your resume. Just usually at the bottom of the job description, they'll say, here's what you bring to the job, or here are the requirements, and look at those carefully. And if they're asking for methodologies like Agile and Scrum, and you have that background, be sure that it's front and center. And if they're looking for certain software like Visual Studio, make sure it's front and center. And look for the requirements for the job or the job duties. If they're looking for somebody who's documented business requirements, again, make sure that that's front and center. So this takes just a few minutes. I spend a lot of time with my clients doing this activity. And once you've done it a few times, it becomes easier. And it shouldn't take a lot of time. Okay, now we get to do the fun part, and I will share my screen. And let's see if I can find it. Let's see. I'm looking for, there we go. Looking for the resumes. I had so many things on my screen, I couldn't find the resume file. And I'm going to do a new share. Share. And hopefully you can see this. I'm not going to click on that enable editing because that always throws me out. I've learned. It's taken me about 10 times to learn, but that will throw me out of Zoom if I click on that little thing right there. So what I'm going to do is scroll down this resume like a recruiter would be scanning a resume. And those in the audience, if you have any things you like about this resume, go ahead and type those in chat. If you have any suggestions for improvement, go ahead and type those into chat. So we have your contact information at the top and experienced chemist. So a highly technical resume. Work experience. Lots of good work experience there. Lots of experience. And education, PhD, Master of Science. Excellent. And then memberships. Good. So lots of great information here. And I'm looking to see if anybody has any comments in the chat. Feel free to type in any comments if you have any reactions. It's good.
I would take out the street address myself. I don't think
Absolutely.
you need to have that.
Yeah, you don't need that. And add your LinkedIn. Quality assurance. And this formatting is a little different. The spacing makes me think it's thrown off or something. These things are not aligned. I don't know if they're meant to be, like there's a space off there. So that kind of throws me a little bit. Yeah, the formatting at the top is hard to read, somebody said. So like the certificate in technical writing, maybe certifications down at the bottom. I think what I would do is I'd recommend you put your title at the top, whatever the common title is or the title you're applying for. If they're saying a senior chemist, put that at the top. And then I'd have an opening paragraph, just 2 or 3 lines describing who you are as a chemist that relates to that job. And then I would just list, I think I would just list areas of expertise and then pick out a few of these keywords that are really important for the jobs that you're applying for. If they're not asking for ISO 9000, maybe you don't need to list that. So I might a little bit of time to work that out and maybe talk to a career coach or a recruiter about that. And then work experience, I'd recommend putting the dates right justified, because that makes it easier for a recruiter to scan. And recruiters are going to be scanning to see how long you've been at various jobs. And let's see. Okay. And the verbs, let's see, testing, ordering. I don't know that I'd recommend. Yeah, so the verbs aren't parallel. One says development, and one is not ending in ing, and some are ending in ing, and some are past tense. So I would make them all parallel, and the spacing is off. So some hiring managers would throw this out just because of the spacing. So you want to avoid that situation. So I would go through these and tested and approved liquid batches, ordered lab supplies, wrote SOPs, standard. And you
I mean, it reads as a job description, not as what you've done. So you've tested and approved liquid batches. Well, how many of those a week were you doing? Or how many, conducted 50 tests a week? Monthly, ordered lab supplies monthly. Just give us some results. Tell us what the
what the result is exactly.
Yeah.
Well, and you can play that so what game with this too, like inspected production lines. Well, so what was the impact? You may have reduced something, eliminated errors, so that you might be able to find some stronger verbs that you can use in your resume. So there's lots of good information here. And there are also a lot of jobs. So you may want to consider maybe just before this Georgia jobs, maybe putting prior relevant experience and listing the organizations that you worked for and your titles. Now, if some of the bullet points are important, you may include a few important bullet points as well. Okay. So, so lots of great information, and good for you for sharing it today. And so I'm just looking at the chats. Okay, the font, I can't tell what the font is. Looks like Arial 10, Calibri 11 is the #1 recommended font. Which should or should not be bolded. Yes, definitely the headings should be bolded. Maybe make the headings centered and don't put the underline underneath, because that can cause some issues with ATS systems. And it's okay to have your titles and the dates bolded. And I get confused here. What's the title? Okay, that's the company. And then the title. So you may want to look at our template that we're providing. That might help with that. Title's too long. Okay. Some fonts look italicized. Okay. And then months and dates. To make it clean on your resume, you could just put years, just the years that you were at jobs. Now in the detailed job application, you may have to fill in the months. That might make it cleaner. And make sure if you do want to have months and years, make sure your formatting is consistent.
And I guess what would stand out to me is what you do between 2014 and 2019, because there's a gap right there. And it's just like, so if you just put the year only, it's going to stand out, especially over on the right-hand side. I'm going to go, so what were you doing during that period? You need to put, I think you need to put something in there saying whatever it is you did, or, you know, I mean, I just read that LinkedIn now allows you to put stay-at-home mom, stay-at-home dad, which is new. That's a new job title they just recently added, or took care of, you know, long-term care of parent or something.
Family leave, yeah, or something. Yeah, family leave. I'd keep it as generic as possible.
Right.
So, yes, so you can do that. So feel free to reach out if you have any further questions about your resume. And somebody recommended professional experience versus work experience, and I think that's a good suggestion. So thank you so much, and congratulations on all the great skills that you have. And I will also share, I think we have, yeah, we do have a couple minutes to look at the second resume. It's going to take a second. I'll do a new screen share. And thank you, Jane Doe, for sharing your great job there. Okay, so once again, I'm going to scroll through it, and since we're all learning from each other and people have some good suggestions, feel free to type in the chat things you like about this resume and any suggestions. So there's a summary section, skills, experience, education, training, activities, and honors. Okay. I worry about these lines. I know there's in some cases, and I know Andy's mentioned in some cases there's some types of lines you can use in an ATS system, but I just avoid them, and they don't help. Somebody says visually they don't help. Yeah, to me it kind of chops it up. So you don't need that many lines, and me, I just prefer getting rid of them. And there seems to be an issue with the spacing. That's the first thing I see. In one of my attachments, the one about make your resume pop, they show how you can use tabs to get those to line up on the right. Okay. Horizontal lines, somebody else agreed, eliminate the horizontal lines. They really don't add anything.
And right there for the 219, the first two is lowercase, not uppercase, or not bolded.
Oh, yes. Yeah, I see that. Okay. I've been told skills should not be in a table. That is correct. Just tab over to those places. So that is absolutely correct. An ATS may not read the data inside a table. And instead of summary, if you're applying for a supply chain manager job, put supply chain manager so that the recruiter can go, yeah, that's the type of person I'm looking for. And or pharmaceutical supply chain manager or pharmaceutical procurement manager, whatever you're applying for. And if you've done that job, put that front and center. I do like your brief summary statement. You could add one more line if you want. And I would add more skills than this. I'm sure on the jobs that you're applying for, they're asking for more than 4 key skills. You could add upwards to 6 or 9 skills. Experience, I would put professional experience. And boy, there seems to be a spacing issue. And it looks like 2 spaces there. So I would really clean that up. Some hiring managers might throw this out because of spacing. Okay. Company lines.
Once again, when you send a Word document, this is the fallacy of a Word document, because it may look okay on your computer. I know this is coming from Linda from Facebook. This looks fine on your computer, but when Carol gets it, if she doesn't have the same kind of printer that you do, her margins are going to be different. It could be different on mine. In fact, I was just getting ready to open it up on my computer to see what it looked like, because it may look different on my computer. So PDF files are great because it forces the viewer to always view it the way you meant it to be viewed.
Correct. So very good point. Yeah, it might be my system rejiggered.
Well, and also, since you have not enabled editing, that also changes the formatting up some. So
Okay.
I know that I'll click on stuff, I'll get a document, it's 3 pages long, but when I click on enable editing, it cuts it back down to 2. So
Yes.
it changes the spacing. So yeah.
That's true. And the thing to remember about PDFs, you can do that when you're uploading your resume as an attachment for the recruiter to look at. But when you're applying online, it needs to be a native Microsoft format. Otherwise, some of the ATS systems like Workday, when they hit a PDF, they think it's a picture of something. So, and you'll hear different things about that. So you do have to be careful.
I have one comment. I read this and it sounds just like a job description.
Ah.
Looks like sentences right out of a job description instead of a resume. Second comment is, see if you can say the same thing with less words. I mean, you can do things if you just work at it a little bit. And probably the number one mistake that I see, and you've already mentioned it, and maybe the number 2 is a lack of a job title at the top. In other words, make it easy for that first third of a page to be read and understood very clearly on what you're looking for. And the third thing is what I call readability or white space. But when you look at this and you see a lot of long lines and a whole bunch, I'm not interested in reading all of those lines. So if you can shorten it up, make the margins, it looks like you're trying to jam a lot of information on a page rather than just saying, look. And I would say you could do with 3 bullets. You don't need to give a history. All you need to do is give enough information so you get a phone call.
Right, right. Thank you, Walt, for taking the time to provide those suggestions, and especially about the bullet points sounding like a job description. And implement machine learning processes for tactical spend opportunities. You can, again, play the so what game. What was the result? What was the outcome? And if that comes up with, it might help you come up with a stronger verb that really focuses more on the result. And yeah, you don't need to list every single bullet point. Focus on 3, 4, or 5 that are most relevant for the jobs you're applying for. And the dates, you want the dates to be cleaner, either just years or consistently month and years. Yeah, you want those cleaner. Activities and honors.
And look, the university's not lined up there. You've got one to the left. I mean, the 2 words university are not underneath each other.
And it probably is due to my system, the way it's reading it. And somebody says spend or spending verb issue. Okay, good. So this probably does need an edit. And a job in the past, it's written in the present tense. That's an issue. Those all need to be in the past tense. Okay, and I see a mixture of past and present. I've seen hiring managers throw out resumes for that reason. So you've got lots of great skills and you don't want to be thrown out for verb tense issues. So good. So
you have to remember that, if Carol's getting 300 resumes, she's trying to find the 10 that she likes. And if for any reason she doesn't like you, if she doesn't like your email address, boom, she's on to the next candidate. If she doesn't like, as soon as she finds something she doesn't like, boom, she's on to the next candidate. So, and that's true with all recruiters. They're just trying to narrow it down. They're not necessarily looking for the most qualified person, because you could be the most qualified person, but as soon as they see an error or something that they don't like, boom, out it goes.
Yeah. And I do look for skills as a recruiter. I look for skills. And if they're just a couple spacing issues, I might put you in the maybe stack. But I might go with somebody who has a higher quality resume with no errors first. So, okay. So thank you, both of you, for bravely sharing your resumes. And that's so valuable for all of us to get to see a real resume, real time. And thank you for everybody that provided comments and feedback.
Well, Carol, thank you very, very much. If you'd like to reach out to Carol, you may do so. This is what her her LinkedIn page looks like. Please send a personal note. If you're going to connect with somebody, always look for that blue message button so that you can send her a message, or the blue connect button to connect. Always send that personal note. I personally don't connect with anybody who does not send me a personal note. So if you sent me a LinkedIn request and you didn't send a personal note, you're in my ignore pile. So just as a little warning, just to let you know. For those people on Facebook and for those on Zoom, if you didn't get any of these sample, and we put a whole bunch of handouts in today's presentation, please send me an email to resume@careerdfw.org. Let me know you need the handouts from today, and I will be sure to reply and get those to you. It may be this weekend before I get to that. I tend to not check that account until I check it once a week on the weekends. So please send me an email if you'd like to get those. Career DFW and Career USA, we're putting on training 5 days a week right now. Every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 1 o'clock, every Friday at 9:30 in the morning. Tomorrow morning at 9:30 in the morning, the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, we're going to talk about life lessons. The presenter is Steve Zipkoff. He's a very funny, you'll be entertained, energized after you hear from him. He's been right-sized, hired, fired, downsized, rehired. He actually invented the dollar menu and got fired 3 months later because of it. So, you know, just because you've done something great that people now use at every fast food restaurant chain doesn't mean you're going to continue to have a job. But so he came up with that. So it'll be a very interesting presentation. The Women of Wisdom, they only meet the first and third Friday of the month, so they won't be meeting until the first week of May. Next Monday for networking, our guest speaker is Tom Jackson. We talk about networking every Monday. On Tuesday, our LinkedIn presentation will be LinkedIn search engine optimization, how to get your resume optimized so that recruiters will find you. And once again, it's a lot like optimizing your resume. Results sell. So, you know, we actually, this past Tuesday, we talked a lot about looking at people's profiles and going, it's a lot like your resume. It's a lot like your master resume, but you've got to have results. Just listing a job description isn't going to have the keywords that you need to be found by. Next Wednesday, Carol will be back with us next Wednesday for our guest speaker series, Secrets for an Effective Interview. During the month of April, we've had 4 different speakers talk about interviewing, and starting back in May 5th, Walt and Mark will be doing their 13-part workshop on everything you need to know about interviewing. So that'll pick back up, but join us this Wednesday for Carol, Secrets for an Effective Interview. Boy. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. Please follow us on Facebook. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way, every time we post a new video, you'll find it. You'll find out about it. You get a little email. This video will be up on the website. It usually takes about 2 hours for Facebook or for YouTube to upload it. I'm going to have to go rehearse my face because my mouth does not want to talk with my brain. They're not connecting today. On the Career USA YouTube channel, it looks something like this. Be sure to click on playlist, and then you'll see down there, here are the lists that I've put together: effective resumes, interviewing, LinkedIn, North Dallas Plano focus group speakers. Don't click on the video, but click underneath where it says view full playlist. And when you do that, up will come a list of all the different topics or the different dates that we've done these things, and you can go back. We have over 200 lessons that have been recorded in the past year. They're up on the YouTube channel, and they're all there for you to go back and view. If you're not receiving emails about our workshop and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, please do so. I put out 7 emails a week. Every morning, I'll put out an email that has the Zoom link and the topic for the day. So if you'd like to get that, Career USA, the +, subscribe at group.io, and I'll put that email address back up here at the very end. If you'd like to win a month of unlimited use of JobScan, here is a time you need to get your opening up your chat box, because We want you to enter a number between 1 and 100. Put it in the chat box. The 2 closest people will win without going over. So we're playing the Price is Right rules. The 2 closest without going over. So I'll give everybody a chance to get their numbers in. Numbers. Anybody else? Anybody on Facebook want to play? Put your number in between 1 and 100. All right, I don't see any more numbers happening here. So let's see what our winning number is today. Our winning number is 50. So let's see here. The 2 closest numbers to 50 without going over. I see a 44.
44.
And a 42, it looks
42.
like. So Joe, 42, and Alan, 44. Please, if you will, please put your email address in the chat so that I can copy it over and we will get your name sent off. This is for the month of May. So you'll get an email the 1st of May to be able to do that. So if you will, Joe and Alan, please put your email address in the chat so I can copy that. All right. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization putting these workshops on every day of the week. Carol's a volunteer, Walt's a volunteer. I'm a volunteer. I've never gotten paid to do this over the last 13 years. This is my little charity to give back to the community. We have no full or part-time employees. We survive on donations. It helps pay for Zoom, for the web names, the web hosting, anything I can't get donated. And I have to, you know, fork some money out for something, I will do. And believe me, I don't fork a lot of money out on a yearly basis. Please consider making a donation when you land your next opportunity so we can continue to provide the programming that we're doing. So thank you very much for joining us today. There's that email address if you'd like to join the mailing list again. Carol, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And thanks, everyone. Hope this was really helpful. And thank you, Walt,